It seems that I'm not the only one who has something to say on the trail today. I love coming in the woods and hearing the birds. And I do wish I knew what they were saying right now. They're probably saying, "Hey lady, get out of our woods." It's a beautiful day. I'm so glad you could join me today. I've been thinking today about the subtlety of God. How it's amazing that I go through my whole day and the Holy Spirit is speaking to me constantly through the whole of it. Not just from time to time or when I make a conscious effort to sit and listen, which I do, but I've been noticing so much the subtlety of the Holy Spirit when I'm having a conversation with someone or when I'm thinking about the things that I need to do, and how the Holy Spirit will bring to my mind in the moment just what I need, or the order things would be in that would be better than what I was thinking, and how all of a sudden I see, oh, of course, that's perfect. How it just comes to me. And I've made such a practice out of learning to listen that it's become an effortless thing for me. I remember when I was first learning to walk with God, it was such a job to be able to pick out God's voice amongst all the other thoughts that I was having, because I was really somebody who had a hard time being still in my thoughts. And it was just like the second I wanted to sit down and pray would be the second I was bombarded with everything from a grocery list to thoughts I would never even have in the first place. It just felt like a barrage. Like, I know I'm going to be sitting here with God now, and now all of a sudden I can't hear anything except for my thoughts, which are too numerous to count. And it was really something that I had to learn to settle into and trust and know that as I intended to listen for God, that I would. And now it's effortless, and all of those thoughts have just kind of gone away. They don't bother me, they don't bombard me. It's very still inside my heart now. But I think the key in that is that I was in my heart, and I learned to get out of my head and come to the place inside of me that He is dwelling. I know that can seem a little confusing, but it's really the heart that is the key. It's really the heart. And if the heart itself is full of weeds, if it's jumbled up in there, if it's a confused heart, if it's a fearful heart, that's when we really need to be the most in there and saying, Christ, I allow you to come to this fear. Christ, I allow you to weed this thought out of my heart, this belief that I've planted that I think is real. Did you ever realize you're not afraid of things that don't feel real, or things that you know are absolutely not real? They don't actually scare you. It's only the thoughts that you think could happen. Woo! My balance beam went up in the air. This is my precarious bridge I went over, and my little balance beam went up in the air. So when I was learning to weed my garden, every single time I would feel anxiety or have thoughts that came that were just bothering me, you can feel them. You know that they're real when you can feel them. And I think it's encouraging to know too, thoughts that you can't feel as a true emotional response within your heart is not something you actually believe. It's just kind of there looking for you to come into agreement with it. But the thoughts that come to you that have a real emotional response in your gut, those are the things you are afraid of. And you respond to them with anxiety and fear and nervousness and doubt and worry. Unless they're the thoughts that are actually from God that you believe in, those ones bring you joy and peace and comfort and confidence and just an ease of being. And it's so good to pay attention to these things in our heart, because that's when we realize what we believe and what needs to be weeded. And we've talked about it so many times on the trail, but it's really the truth. The simplest way to walk with God is to let God do all the work. Your work is to acknowledge Him on the inside of you and be honest when you're afraid or you're in a belief that you know is not the truth, and you feel afraid and you feel worried and doubtful. That's when you say, Christ, I allow you to come to this. I allow you to bring your light and your love to this feeling in me, and weed that seed out of there. Get that weed out of there. And as soon as you do, it begins to dissipate. And that's when you can hear the new word. That's when you can know what is God saying. And that's when the subtleties come. You know, when you are full of fear and doubt and worry, you are so heightened, you can't even hear anything. If someone were to whisper to you in that moment, you wouldn't even notice it, because you're in fight or flight. And when you allow Christ to remove that fear from you, all of a sudden you can hear the whispers. You can perceive the subtleties all throughout the day. And instead of just going from one thing to the next thing that you're nervous about in your day, fearing it the whole day while your cortisol is just running the show, now you've got this opportunity where you're just noticing the nuance of the Holy Spirit inside of you. And your whole day, no matter whether the circumstances of the day challenge you or not, you know you've been listening to God through that day, and you know the solutions and the right things to say and the answers to somebody else's need just pop up one after another in an effortless flow of communication that brings love and life into every situation. So I was noticing that today. I was noticing that today with my students. As I'm just tuning in, like I always do, I'm noticing exactly what to do next. And even if I have to change what was my plan originally, it works out because I know the next thing to do. And I'm just really enjoying those subtleties. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Christ, we allow you to come into our hearts again today. We allow your Spirit to speak. We allow ourselves the opportunity to have an open heart with you. We allow your light and your love to come in, to speak again, to dissipate what is out of tune with you and bring us back into tune with you. Thank you for always speaking life. Thank you for always bringing joy. Thank you for being so peaceful and kind and confident and loving within us, and for bringing us into the same space you are in, that we could live from the kingdom of heaven right within us. I love you. Thank you for taking the time to walk with me today. I appreciate you, and I bless your day. I bless you to hear the subtleties and the nuances of the one who is speaking all the time inside your heart. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.